Now, for your study skills, whether studying for a test or getting ready for a final, um, you got to think about the big picture. It's better if you don't just cram and get ready for it last minute. You need to think about what makes you better able to think and function. If you look at the facts, look at how you function and other people, you'll find two things you need are sleep and good nutrition. Good sleep and good nutrition. If you look at the facts, I know some people like to think they don't need much sleep, they'll sleep when they die, they can do without it. However, if you look at animals and human beings, you find that we sleep for a reason. If you look into it scientifically, instead of thinking you just lie there, oh, I think you just lie there when you sleep and I know everything, so that's all it is. Well, you're mistaken. You need to learn about sleep and its functions from people who know what they're talking about. And you'll find sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity if you want to function properly. Yes, if you just want to exist through life, not do your best, be suboptimal in your thinking and acting and performing, hey, then go for it. Your life, you can do whatever you want. But if you want to perform optimally, you must get enough sleep. If you look at people who think they can do without sleep, like some doctors, you find that medical mistakes are one of the major causes of death and disease. Look it up on the internet. Even WebMed, some governmental medicine websites, there's even research there. The Exxon Valdez and Chernobyl, for example, those disasters had sleep deprivation as a major cause, if not the major cause, of those accidents. So make sure you get enough sleep so you can function and think, so your memory will work, you can reason better, it'll be optimal instead of suboptimal. That's what you want. So when you study, you'll be functioning better. When you take the test, you'll be functioning better. And then you need to feed your brain and nervous system. Don't just think about calories, because we're not merely cars. We need more than just like gas. We need nutrients for our brain, nervous system, livers, other organs, our whole body. You got to make sure you have enough protein and fat for your body to function properly. Your brain and nervous system must have fat. You can look it up. I've already looked it up, so I know. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to give you more knowledge so you can improve yourself and other people, and those you love. So look it up. You're going to find that your brain and nervous system must have certain fats to function properly. So those are some basics. If we look at the bigger picture, we look at cause-effect relationships, we can see those things will help us study and learn better. Now, in study skills, when you're doing math and physics and chemistry, make sure you can do the math. Don't just look at it and think it's okay. If you can't do the math, you can't do it on the test, you're not going to do well. Whereas with history or English, you should try to write essays to make sure you can pull out all the information. You can think about chronologies, you can think about cause-effect relationships, when that go for literature too, because they make sure you really understand something and can develop your thinking instead of just looking at things in isolation. That's not a good skill to develop for adult life because that is rarely used. You always want to put things in context. When you're doing marketing or engineering, art, you got to put things in context of human life and what kind of benefits people want, what kind of values they have. So try to write like paragraphs or essays. It'll help you a lot. Start a little earlier, don't wait till the last minute. So this can be really set in your brain and you really have time to think through it and understand it. And one thing people don't use enough are flashcards. They can help you remember concepts in literature and geometry. And flashcards could be used in life for different things. Learning birds, memorizing them, their calls, what they look like, plant identification, identifying edible things you can forage versus medicinal versus poisonous. learning some concepts at work, doing some things for the SAT and ACT, learning words. So that's a skill that could help a lot. Use flashcards. If you make them up yourself instead of on a computer, that can help it sink in. And then try to use them as much as you can. So that's a little bit for today. Remember, make sure you have enough sleep, good sleep hygiene, because it's important. Make sure you're eating well. Make sure you give your brain the fats it needs so it can function well and store information. And also you want to exercise, get complex movement, as I'm doing in a complex environment. Don't just, okay, it's good if you like to run or play a sport, but try to vary your movements as much as possible. Crawling, climbing, hanging, running through trees. So you focus on using your nervous system more and not just kind of tuning out, as some people do at some gyms on a treadmill. Try to be more engaged and mindful in what you're doing. Now remember, also practice a lot. Do the math in some courses, write essays and paragraphs in others, use flashcards. Hope that helps for today, and I'll make more of these and give you more information later.